Hello everyone, what if we were to tell you that Nintendo could be working on a new 2D Zelda game? Not a remake, not a remaster, but a new original 2D Zelda game with an insane twist. Sort of coming from some rumors we have heard, but we chose to ignore. But after hearing it a few more times and talking it over with Daniel and some other friends, I thought if I could find enough sufficient evidence, or it became interesting enough, I would make a video and ask all of you for your opinions in the comments below while providing all of the evidence, interviews, and actual facts as I can. So if you clicked on this for some reason thinking it was clickbait, sorry to disappoint. And we will read out what you have to say on the next episode of our Zelda podcast, the 𝐓𝐲𝐿𝐴𝐻 Gamescast, which is coming up Tuesday. And there is a very big surprise at the end of this video. First, a lot of people will say Nintendo doesn't have their own 2D Zelda team anymore. They were merged into one big team for Breath of the Wild or Breath of the Wild 2, like most Nintendo teams did when they stopped pushing the 3DS and fully backed the Switch as the only real console they were actively developing for. And yes, that is kind of what happened with a lot of teams. But during my research, I seem to have found a lot of interviews that back this rumor up, and Aonuma himself stating in interviews that their handheld Zelda team would absolutely not be combined with the home console Zelda teams. He explains 2D top-down and 3D Zelda games are completely different and are approached from different perspectives. So it seems like, going by Aonuma's own words, they still have an active 2D Zelda team that has been working on something for a few years now. And no, we're not talking about 𝐓𝐻𝐿 here, who just recently released Link's Awakening, as some of these interviews with Aonuma and the Zelda teams will easily clear this up. Now, after this point, my voice does get a little bit lower because I was up all night recording and I did not want to wake up my daughter. So hope you guys don't have a problem with it. Hello everyone and welcome. We have a lot of Zelda rumors going around, so many that it is hard to keep track of, which are real, which are made up clickbait. Luckily, in most cases, you can look at the past history of whoever is saying it or spreading it. One easy example is Samus Hunter, who has put out dozens and dozens of leaks, not just for Zelda, but many other games as well. And literally every single one has been correct so far. On the complete opposite side of this, we have people that make up almost anything just so someone will notice them. With all that said, a lot of you may know that some of our leaks or rumors that we report on are sent to us via email, and most of them you never even hear about because they're just that ridiculous. But there are a few people who I've gotten to know that have been correct on multiple things. Skyward Sword HD, new Zelda hardware, Age of Clams DLC. I was told something Zelda related, or just something was going to happen on this specific day. And when that day came, the Breath of the Wild Champion Series statues from First 4 Figures were announced. So I find this a bit interesting, and with so many things they've said to me that ended up becoming true, I thought at the very least this would be an interesting topic, and I would love to hear all of your thoughts as well. To begin, yes, Miyamoto and Aonuma have confirmed a 2D Zelda game has been in development. Specifically, that they wanted to evolve what a 2D Zelda game is, which I have some interesting ideas for. We did get Link's Awakening, but it in no way evolved 2D Zelda, and it wasn't in development at the time the interview took place. Later, we even got more interviews or teases of a 2D Zelda. Even looking to the past, Aonuma has mentioned how Triforce Heroes originally began as a 3DS remaster of Four Swords Adventures, as 𝐓𝐿𝐴𝐻 already remastered the handheld Four Swords. But due to the limitations, the 3DS could only have limited online functions with 3 players. He would again, later on, talk about how he would still like to properly bring Four Swords Adventures to a newer console that would be more convenient for players to experience and would more easily be able to enjoy it without spending an entire fortune on Game Boy Advances, GameCube connectors, and everything else that you need to play that game properly. So, we know Aonuma has mentioned they are working on a 2D Zelda, and we have other teases and hints to him wanting to make another 2D Zelda. So yeah, Nintendo is probably working on a brand new 2D Zelda game that has its own unique twist. How could they evolve what we think of a 2D Zelda though? I think we have already seen Nintendo experiment a bit with this concept with Mario Odyssey and past Zelda games. Even a 2D, 3D hybrid Donkey Kong game has been rumored to be coming out for the Nintendo Switch, or to be revealed at E3. So it seems Nintendo is fond of this idea of merging the 2D of the past with the 3D of the present. Maybe it's a way to sell their games to new players and old players, whether you like the big open world 3D games or you're more of a 2D platformer fan. These new games that combine the two, like Super Mario Odyssey and presumably this upcoming Donkey Kong game, which is said to be in development by the same team that made Super Mario Odyssey, so it would make sense for them to continue that gameplay aspect. Apparently this Zelda would be a 2D and 3D Zelda game that uses elements of both, similar to A Link Between Worlds going from 3D to 2D for cutscenes and merging with walls, Ocarina of Time's top-down view of the Fire Temple segments, and again, Mario Odyssey having 2D and 3D gameplay. Just as Mario Odyssey took elements from Minish Cap's Talking Hat, A Link Between Worlds' 2D wall merging, and many other mechanics that first appeared in Zelda games before Mario Odyssey. This Zelda game is said to take those original aspects that Super Mario Odyssey borrowed from A Link Between Worlds, further expand upon it, and take it a step further. It would be heavily influenced by the idea offered in A Link Between Worlds, where certain dungeons, puzzles, bosses, enemies, etc. require you to actively be switching back and forth and thinking in 2D and 3D, but without requiring a wall to make the switch. And actually, I just thought of this. The idea of that mechanic in a Zelda game fits perfectly with the Nintendo Switch, as you would be switching back and forth between these two completely different styles of gameplay. It could be something as simple as being able to freely transition, possibly by clicking the right stick, which already controls the camera movement in most games. So clicking it to gain a new perspective could make sense, unless we end up with another item that allows us to do this. One example I thought of is not being able to see over a wall or ledge while playing in 3D. So you switch to the top-down perspective, and now you're able to see everything immediately on the other side of that wall or ledge. And the same thing could happen in reverse. Maybe there's like a bridge or a tunnel that the top-down 2D perspective just isn't working out for you because the ceiling is blocking you or the bridge is blocking you, whatever it may be. So you have to switch to 3D so that you can see everything in front of you instead of having the camera just pointing down. And honestly, there are a ton of amazing gameplay mechanics Nintendo could come up with, but I'm excited to hear all of your suggestions as well, so please comment them below. Maybe this is the game Aonuma was referring to when he said he wanted to evolve what a 2D Zelda game is. It would definitely be a brand new, unique type of Zelda game that we haven't seen before, since we aren't just merging into the wall like a painting in A Link Between Worlds. So whether your favorite Zelda games are A Link to the Past, Minish Cap, Link's Awakening, Oracle of Ages, the original Zelda, or you like the newer 3D Zelda games, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, this would be a great way to give every Zelda fan exactly what they want. Also, I have to mention this, or else Daniel will make me eat another shoe. There are a lot of people who actually believe the next 2D Zelda game will be something like Lego Zelda, as Nintendo and the Lego company have had a great partnership lately, especially with Mario getting what seems like dozens and dozens of its own Mario-themed Lego sets. So maybe Zelda is right around the corner, and the Lego games are the perfect multiplayer games for families, which Nintendo is all about. The other way to evolve 2D Zelda would be taking the Paper Zelda concept, which yes, Aonuma and Miyamoto did kind of joke about working on a paper Zelda. Was it true? Who knows? I'm sure at least at some point in time, they probably experimented with the idea. Who knows? It could probably end up being a weird Link's Awakening type thing, where he gets sent to a new, unknown, mysterious island. But in this island, for some weird reason, everything looks like it's made of yarn, and it borrows the aesthetic from the Yarn Yoshi and Yarn Kirby games. A Zelda game in that style would definitely be unique and evolve what a 2D Zelda game would be. But I'm interested in all of your ideas as well. Comment them below, and we will read some of them off in our next episode of the 𝐓𝐼𝐬 Gamescast. And as a surprise, for those of you who stayed until the very end of this, not only will we be reading your reviews or your comments on the next episode of the 𝐓𝐼𝐬 Gamescast, our Zelda podcast, this upcoming Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, but it was just confirmed today that our dear friend HMK will be coming back on the 𝐓𝐼𝐬 Gamescast. I think he's been on a couple of episodes before when we were all very active in our YouTube group, the Chamber of Sages, Zeltic, Dr. Wily, Commonwealth Realm, ZeldaMaster, McIntyre Productions. All of us were collaborating with each other like every single week, and it was awesome. So hopefully I can bring a little bit of that fun back by getting some of them on the 𝐓𝐼𝐬 Gamescast to catch up on old times. And you can even watch our vlog from E3, the last time they actually had a real E3, where we all hung out and all of your favorite Zelda YouTubers went out and had an amazing dinner. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Have a good night or day. But seriously though, thank you all so much. We are literally right at that goal line of 100,000 subscribers. It's insane. Thank you guys. If you are not subscribed already, please subscribe. You'll get more awesome content like this, and you're helping me out. Bye. Before we go, I want to give a huge thank you to everyone, especially our Patreon supporters at patreon.com/GameOverJesse. That's it for now, but a lot of rumors, news, and details are slowly leaking out. So please, stay subscribed and notified, and join our Discord to make sure you stay up to date on all Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 news. And you can find our Zelda podcast, the 𝐓𝐼𝐬 Gamescast, here on YouTube and on iTunes, where we have had many guests who have worked on the Zelda series and have shared a lot of amazing stories about voice acting, such as Patricia Somerset voice acting as Zelda, Mike Drucker on Zelda's writing or translation team, coming up with the jokes in the game, stories behind the names of characters that he created. Please subscribe and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you. If you are a fan of our Zelda videos like this, Zelda Theories, our Zelda podcast, the 𝐓𝐼𝐬 Gamescast on iTunes, we would all really appreciate your support at patreon.com/GameOverJesse. That and buying our t-shirts will get you and your YouTube or Twitch a shout out every week on our 𝐓𝐼𝐬 Gamescast. And if you send in a photo of yourself in our Game Over Jesse or 𝐓𝐼𝐬 Gamescast t-shirt, we can use it for promotion at the end of some of our videos.